Mario Tennis Aces is Nintendo's most ambitious sports game in recent years and a major upgrade from the Wii U Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Where Ultra Smash really lacked any depth or content beyond the basic tennis matches, Aces feels like a combination of a tennis game and a fighting game. It's an interesting collaboration of genres that keeps the game feeling fresh, though some more content to go along with it would have been appreciated. Surprisingly, Mario Tennis Aces does have a story mode, complete with dialogue, a real narrative, the whole picture. It's not usual that we get that in a Mario game, but surely a welcome addition. Mario Tennis Aces opens up with a tennis tournament just ending. The trophy is about to be rewarded when quickly things go amok. A possessed Wario and Waluigi hand Mario and Peach a cursed ancient tennis racket as a trophy that resembles the Infinity Gauntlet from the Avengers. While Mario and Peach are cautious about touching the weird purple glowing racket, Luigi doesn't hesitate and grabs it, slowly becoming cursed just like Wario and Waluigi have. Out of the blue, a tornado takes away the cursed individual, starting us off on our rescue adventure to get to the bottom of things and rescue our friends. Throughout the campaign, Mario will travel to multiple kingdoms to get what the game calls the Power Stones, another similarity to the recent Avengers Infinity War film. The story mode is a step above other Mario game stories before it. It's not just another save the princess mission, but rather actually has a story behind it, complete with dialogue between characters. It's not the best writing by any means, in fact some of the writing doesn't even match up the facial animations of the characters saying said lines. However, it's a step in the right direction and the closest the Mario Tennis series has ever been to the Mario Golf RPG-like story mode. If the traditional Rescue the Princess Mario story was a C rating, then Tennis Aces would surely be a B. Not an A yet, but an improvement. Speaking of improvement, oh boy has the gameplay from Ultra Smash gotten a much needed improvement in Tennis Aces. Matches still start off in the traditional sense of swinging a ball back and forth over a court. You have your mix of basic slices, drop shots, and top spins. However, while all of this is happening, a power meter is filling up as you charge up your swings and pull off trick shots. Trick shots have you predict where the ball is going to be aimed at, and while it may cost you a point if you mispredict it, it can also earn you power meter points if you predict it correctly. This power meter goes towards unlocking your special shot, a cinematic power shot that lets you aim anywhere on the court in first person. On top of this big special, you can also use the power meter to perform zone shots, slowed down reticle aim shots wherever there is a star marked on the court. If you're at the receiving end of a shot, then you can instead use the power meter to slow down time and make a normally difficult return much easier. Furthermore, you can use the reticle shot to aim directly at your opponent to damage their racket. Rackets can take damage if a player doesn't time their return swing well enough against a reticle shot, and if the racket breaks from damage, then the game just ends by default KO. It's a risk and reward system of knowing when you want to go for filling up the power shot and how to use the power shot, all while being mindful that your opponent has the same tools at their disposal. Quickly, it becomes a game of tennis with a bunch of added depth into the mix. It truly does feel like a fighting game being mixed in with a tennis game. This core gameplay is ingrained into the story mode that has you going from kingdom to kingdom in a large overworld map. In the parts where the story's narrative falls a bit flat, the gameplay really does pick up the slack, and that tends to be the reoccurring theme with Mario Tennis Aces. With every kingdom in the story mode comes not only the traditional tennis matches, but also boss battles and minigames. Minigames keep the same mechanics as the regular matches and use them to create smaller bite-sized gameplay moments like break the targets. The boss battles feel like an evolution of this concept because they too keep the same gameplay mechanics as regular matches, but somehow manages to transform them into a boss fight. For example, trick shots now become dodges for attacks. It's just really well thought out. I wish the same could be said for the narrative. Sadly, post-game content for the story mode isn't too strong either. In the story mode, you can earn rackets and level up Mario's stats with the XP you earn in matches, whether you win or lose them. However, once you finish the game, there really isn't an incentive for you to go back and play. You can only play as Mario, and the RPG elements of the game don't really offer a lot of choice or reason to go back and double dip your toe. You can pretty much complete and unlock all the rackets in the story mode in a matter of 6 to 7 hours. I would have loved to see the ability to play as other characters for different story scenarios or even just some sort of new game plus. Outside of the story mode, you can try out the tournament mode, which is pretty straightforward. You can compete in 3 different tournaments consisting of 3 rounds each with opponents that get increasingly more challenging. The gameplay is fun, but there's really no incentive or reward to play other than just not having anyone around you to play with and not wanting to play online for some reason. Winning a tournament earns you a trophy, but that's about it. You don't really unlock anything. This ultimately leaves the single player content feeling barren after you finish the story mode that, though it is an improvement from other Mario game stories, it's still minimal among other story driven games or sport RPGs like Golf Story. As for the multiplayer content, that's where you'll spend a lot more of your post-game adventures on. Local multiplayer has you splitting the screen with a friend in a match. It takes a bit to get used to the change in perspective if you're playing on the far side of the court. That gets even more confusing when you do a zone shot and quickly have to turn into first-person perspective. One weird thing about playing local multiplayer though is choosing your court to play on. Rather than selecting the court you want to play on, you actually switch off the courts you don't want to play on. That's just bizarre. There's also a swing mode that lets you use the Joy-Con with motion controls, though in my experience it wasn't super accurate for the different types of swings you could do. For that reason, I mainly stuck with traditional controls instead. The online multiplayer is the real star of the show though, with a much better experience than the demo that was released earlier this month. Before starting a match, the game will actually test out the online quality of the two players for 10 seconds before letting them start. Not once did I experience any input lag or disconnects when playing online. I did, however, wish they'd allow for more customization options with randoms online. Those features were pretty much limited to just playing with friends online. The motion control swing mode is also not supported online, although with how inaccurate that was, I can sort of see why. Although it's not a straight up port of Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, Tennis Aces does adopt a lot of the same assets from Ultra Smash, though not completely. The character models come from Ultra Smash, but a lot of the costumes and courts are completely new. I really love the designs of the courts specifically. There's everything from a haunted house themed court complete with floating portal mirrors to an incredibly overgrown grassland court that's my personal favorite. I mean, just look at the grass, it looks so good. There are some more lower tier courts like the snowy themed one that looks nice for the most part, but really has a plain looking train in the background that looks like it was just not finished being textured. When playing in handheld mode, the game runs at 720p with a really solid 60 frames per second. Playing in dock mode, that gets bumped up to 900p, maintaining that 60 frames per second. Overall, Mario Tennis Aces looks like a beautiful game. It really does shine because of the assortment of differently themed courts that are equally as charming as the cast of characters. Mario Tennis Aces has some great sounding tracks that keep the momentum of matches going. This is one of those games where you just say one more match but then quickly end up playing for another hour. I think that's in part to the music too. At the end of every match, the music's momentum just kept me going, just one more match. It's all very upbeat and energetic. The sound effects on the other hand are mostly passed down from Ultra Smash. They're not bad, but I would have loved to see some more original assets. Mario Tennis Aces is by far, in my opinion, the best Mario Tennis game in the series so far, with some of the most unique mechanics for a tennis game. Multiplayer is fun and, more importantly, reliable enough to actually enjoy with others online. Though the story mode in this game is leaps ahead of other Mario narratives, it still has a lot of room for improvement both in writing and in the content. Single player content here is short and doesn't really have much of a fun factor outside of the first playthrough of the story mode. After that's complete, all you really have to do is jump online or play offline multiplayer. Luckily, the gameplay mechanics don't lack any strategy and can be played for hours without losing their amusement. I just wish that the story mode was just as good and rewarded me with more incentives to play outside of the multiplayer. This is the best Mario Tennis game so far, but doesn't live up to the heights of some other Mario sports games before it. If you were only looking at this game for the single player content, I recommend waiting for a sale or just not buying it at launch at all. But if you're completely okay with mostly playing the multiplayer mode, then that's really the star of this game, and really what you'll end up doing for most of it post the 6 hours of the story mode. If I had to give it a score, I'd give Mario Tennis Aces an 8 out of 10. That does it for my review of Mario Tennis Aces for the Nintendo Switch. If you have any questions about the game that I may have missed in the review, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, then please be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new around here for more reviews just like this, and thank you all very much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.